You're listening to Retail Disrupted, a podcast that explores the latest industry developments and the trends that will shape how we shop in the future. I'm your host, Natalie Berg. If you're an 80-year-old global beauty brand, how do you stay relevant in a rapidly changing world? Well, Pernilla Nyberg has a few ideas. She's the Senior Vice President and General Manager for UK and Ireland at the Estée Lauder Companies. She joins me on the podcast today to talk about AI, technology, and evolving customer expectations in luxury. This episode was recorded live on stage at the AI and Retail event in London, which was hosted by London Tech Week. Here's my conversation with Pernilla.
Customer is key here, so for us, consumers always at the heart, and it's been since inception. So rooted in our DNA when Mrs. Estée Lauder founded the first brand with the Estée Lauder brand in 1946, a long time ago. And being in the prestige sector, luxury prestige, high-touch services and high-touch experience were at the forefront already back then. We modernized that version and make it really relevant today, so it's truly rooted in all of our brands. 1 in 3 women do buy our products, so it's super important for us to stay relevant to the consumer. And maybe a little bit, I don't know how well you know our industry, but it might be worthwhile talking a little bit about our industry. We have 4 major categories that we do business in. So makeup, where we are in the prestige sector, the number 1. So here you have complexion play, which is basically the makeup for your face. And brands there like Estée Lauder brand. We have double wear, the number 1 SKU in the market. We sell 1 double wear every 15 minutes, so it's a high volume driver for us as well. But you know, wonderful brands with the Estée Lauder brand, together with Clinique, Too Faced, MAC, Bobbi Brown. So we really play the portfolio, which leads us into skincare, which is another leadership position that we do have in the market. 1 in 2 serums in the market is one of our brands, and it just goes to show a serum like this that is over 40 years old, that we use technology to upgrade with the latest ingredients and technology to truly stay relevant with the consumer. But it doesn't stop there, and we pride ourselves with our 25 plus brands to truly look at the portfolio. And again, Clinique is one of our brands. We have Dr. Jart, which is a Korean skincare brand that we acquired a few years ago, just to play to that segment in the market, all the way to luxury with the La Mer brand. And then we have the smallest category, which is hair care. And this is actually also the fastest growing category in prestige at the moment. We play with 2 brands. We have Aveda and Bumble and Bumble. So we really geared up with those brands to play the ecosystem to support with the consumer. Which leads me to the last category, which is fragrances, the largest category in the market, over 40%. And you look at the luxury sector and the sort of high end, where we have Jo Malone brand, Tom Ford you mentioned, and by Kilian Frederic Malle, there are Paris originated brands that we acquired. So truly what I'm coming back to is the portfolio piece that we do, put the consumer at the heart and use these wonderful brands to really stay relevant. And our CEO, who joined in his role in January, he was already with the company, but he took the position in January, and he's really taking Beauty Reimagined to all of us in the markets as his vision, and we're really putting that to place to make sure that we take the consumer at the center of everything that we do.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the consumer, because we know there's been a ton of change. And if we look at some of the younger generations, if we look at Gen Z, for example, these customers are educated, they're trend-driven, they're digitally influenced.
Yeah.
How are you catering to them? How are you staying relevant to meet their needs?
Yes, very important. What I will say though is that when you look at UK and Ireland that I'm responsible for, the consumer is very diverse, whether that's generational or from an ethnicity perspective. So we spend a lot of time understanding the consumer, listening to the consumer. to truly make sure that we have the right segmentation. And to your point, you know, the younger, the Gen Z in particular, they're very savvy. So we use social listening, social medias to understand that, but also traditional media. And we happen to have a bit of a secret weapon on our end. Playing in the prestige sector, we, at every point of sales, you will see beauty advisors that are our employees that are so well trained to really listen and understand and learn what the consumer needs are and stay ahead of it. So we use that combination to support that. And from a Gen Z perspective, we know that activation and events are high on the agenda, that fast-moving pace that they're after. So, you know, the way that we looked at that to really be relevant is, for instance, we put a vending machine in Manchester Trafford Centre where Jo Malone London showed up with fragrance combining. So you could, through the vending machine, put in your preferences and get 2 scents that you can then combine into your own personalized scent, which is something that is trending with the younger consumer. Or the other pop-up that we did in Covent Garden with the Aveda hair care brand, when we launched the miraculous oil that is sort of looking after your treatment in your hair, and that resonated really well with particularly the Gen Z that have that fun expression outdoor that you don't necessarily always have to go to the stores. But maybe lastly, what's interesting with the Gen Z consumer is how education has changed. You referred to the well-informed, and they truly are. And I think in the past we've seen historically that generations has passed down their knowledge, whether they're regimens or favorites or makeup routines. And now Gen Z is ahead of it. They know everything. They're well in tuned, and not just about their favorites, but also the ingredients, the claims, the benefits of products. So it's really interesting to see that multi-generational interaction that you see. And I love being in the stores when you see when a Gen Z comes in with their parent, aunt, or dad for that matter, and the interactions that you do tend to see in stores, and then the beauty advisor to support them through that.
Yeah, the beauty advisor, I think that's a really interesting point because we talk a lot about tech-enabled human touch.
Yeah.
Being able to marry digital with, you know, your what was said earlier, that people are your best assets.
Yeah.
And so being able to marry those two, I think, is really powerful. Now, beauty, as you've just sort of alluded to, it's historically been a very sensory-driven category, a category that you want to touch, you want to smell, you want advice, you want to know, is this concealer going to work with my skin? But digital disruption hits all categories. So I would love to know your approach to tech and how you're transforming Estée Lauder for a digital era.
Yeah. So maybe we can start with point of sales and the beauty advisors that we referred to. So it's for us looking at what technology can support them in their day-to-day work, whether it's shade matching. Historically, they were the one doing the shade matching, but through technology, we can support them, and so they can do their own shade matching. Or if I refer to the Aveda brand again, sort of scalp diagnostics, so tools at point of sales that you can see the health of your scalp and get the right treatment to get into healthy hair. Or our Clinique brand, which is a derm brand where we have skin diagnostic tools to make sure that you get the right skincare treatment for that serves you as a consumer. And I think then taking this into the office, like most companies, AI is becoming a great tool for us to really democratize and enable for everyone in the office to find efficiencies. We have a CEO who refers to Copilot is Copilot for a reason. It's co-creation, and it's not going to eliminate our human beings, but sort of support all of us to take some of the work out and really create efficiencies in what we do. And then I think we're going to come to a little bit later some of proprietary data and how we're using technology and AI in particular to help us.
Yeah, I was going to say, can we hone in on AI a little bit? So I'd love to know, I mean, you've sort of just touched on it. You're integrating AI across everything from storytelling through to supply chain.
Yeah.
What's the overarching strategy, and where do you expect the biggest ROI over the next few years?
Yeah, so I think coming into being a company rooted in marketing on innovation, creativity, and we've done some interesting partnership recently that it's out in the public domain. Starting with in beauty, trend is very important, particularly in makeup, and it's a very fast-moving environment that we're in. And as we said, Gen Z tends to be on top of this, so we need to stay ahead. So we have actually partnered and stand up a trend studio that is an AI tool that scrapes the market through Google search, TikTok, Instagram, to truly understand what's happening in any geolocation, any category. And so you can, at your fingertips, understand through prompts on what's actually happening in real time. And then we have another partnership through Microsoft, where we have then being in the business for nearly 80 years. And you can imagine the wealth of data that we have from previous campaigns, previous product, claims, benefits, etc. All of that, you can imagine, will take a very long time to troll through the archives to find the right thing to match a certain trend. So we utilize AI to create a consumer IQ, as we call it, where you can tap into our internal data to then see this was the trend in a certain particular category. How does that look from our current product portfolio, claims, benefits, and how can we match that trend? And if we don't have anything in our portfolio, it can then also inform our innovation pipeline to then go to the R&D and say, here is something that we think a trend that will stick. Is certainly something that we can go after. And our CEO has publicly put out that a third of our innovation is going to be completed within 12 months.
Pernilla, in luxury beauty or luxury retail more generally, we know that it can be as much about the experience and the service as it is about the product. So how do you balance this rapid adoption of AI while still maintaining brand equity, craftsmanship, and trust?
Yeah, it is an important, because obviously AI is moving so rapidly, and I quoted before, it will never replace our creativity innovation. So for us, the way we're looking at it is obviously rooted in high touch, being prestige luxury, that brand equity needs to come at the forefront. So if you look at our creative employees in our creative studio, they're utilizing AI once they created a campaign to maybe take some of the work out, some inefficiency. We are showing up with all of our brands in very many different points of distribution, whether it's freestanding stores, with our department stores, specialty multi, online. And I'm sure you all experienced this, but cropping images is a very time-consuming initiative, and very important one, because what works on TikTok doesn't work in a department store, so it has to be really relevant to all our channels of distribution. So it doesn't take away the creativity, but it takes away some of this work. For instance, here Tom Hardy, which is the face of the Jo Malone brand with Cypress and Grapevine. You see here all the different cropping that needed to be done. To the normal human eye, it looks very the same. But once they show up at point of sales or in the different outlets, it's very, very different. So that's one way of using it to preserve the uniqueness and the equity of our brand. We have as a policy, we are never going to move and always have real humans in our campaigns. That's not going to go away. But everything else we can enhance through AI and create new and different campaigns. So that's an important combination that we have.
Yeah, and that came up earlier today in one of the other discussions. So interesting to hear these different use cases for AI. So let's talk about fragrance. You've touched on Jo Malone a couple of times. I think it's such an interesting category, and we'll come on to how you translate that in a digital setting in just a second. But before we do that, can you just talk us through some of the trends in fragrance? What are consumers looking for when they're buying perfume today?
I mentioned the pop-up that we did with the vending machine. So scent layering is a trend, because I think more and more people want to have something personal, making sure that it's relevant to them. And no better way than to do your own scent layering, so you can combine any sort of scents that work for you. And our Jo Malone London brand was actually the original, is part of the DNA of that brand. So you can go into any of our store and get the support from the stylist in the store and what works for you. They're very knowledgeable about the ingredients and the scent of all our brands to find something really relevant. But the other trend that is appearing at the moment is something called fragrance wardrobe, which everyone through their different moods, different times of the day, whether you're at work, you might want to have a certain scent, whether you go out in the evening, you might want to have a different scent or a special occasion. So this layering that we talked about translates into now more of a wardrobe, and it's trending across all generations and ethnicities to make it really, really personal and something fun that you want to have different fragrances for different times of the day or during the week or the month.
Yeah, so instead of just having one perfume, you have different ones for different occasions.
Yeah.
Which kind of feeds into the whole personalization trend that we've talked about.
Yeah, it does. And I think maybe a last point on trending in fragrances is it's something we call gourmands, where a lot of food ingredients and scents are getting requested through our fragrances. And it's interesting, you might have seen in the summer, we had a bit of a takeover from the Jo Malone brand on Raspberry Ripple, that we took the English seaside across the country and having that raspberry tones coming through our fragrances, or another French brand in our portfolio called Kilian Paris, where we have orange blossom and marshmallow in Love Don't Be Shy. So you can sort of see these ingredients play through food and gourmet that coming through our fragrances, which is highly trending at the moment.
Yeah, who would have thought marshmallows? Interesting. So we know that fragrance is notoriously difficult to translate in a digital setting.
Yeah.
But you have tools like the Jo Malone Scent Finder, for example. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how, more generally, you're using AI to unlock e-commerce potential for a category that has traditionally been a very sensory in-person experience?
Yeah, it's, obviously in the UK, the beauty industry nearly has a 50-50 online versus in-store. So it's important for us to have that seamless experience across the two channels. And we talked about our beauty advisors, stylists, makeup artists. That obviously serves a great purpose in the store to get that guided support. So what we're rolling out at the moment, testing it to sort of what is the digital version, the AI version to get there. And we're not going to stand up and go through this, but this is sort of something that we just roll out on our Jo Malone site, where you have that support that you can ask questions and also have the prompted question that you maybe tend to get in store, a little bit less personalized, but at least can get it really relevant to you. And if you then want to go in store and smell it before you buy it, obviously you can do that, or you can click through. And as you can see here, through these prompted questions and the consumer answering those, it's coming up with a few recommendations that you can then click through and purchase directly through our e-commerce site. So we try to bake the bridge, but for us, this high-touch experience that I keep repeating is super important, that it's seamless through. So the digital translation, and that is very important, that is going to resonate with the brand and the consumer.
Yeah, so interesting how you're using AI to improve and personalize that customer experience.
Yeah.
Can you also talk us through how you're using AI for things like product development when it comes to fragrance?
We open up an atelier, fragrance atelier in Paris, where we are now having this studio there where we are inviting all our fragrance creators to leverage AI. Sort of brings together the neuroscience and the olfactory insights that we have together with the different brands, the different researchers that we have. So we have AI enabled their fingertips to enable their creativity, to make it easier for them to utilize the information. But already everyone in our creativity and R&D teams, they absolutely love this space because it's sort of brings it all together. And I think we have such richness of data, but it's always hard to troll through and get access to it. And this is making it really available for them to do what they do best, is the creativity, rather than spending time on finding the right information.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we only have a couple minutes left, Pernilla, but I do want to briefly talk about your stores.
Yeah.
We mentioned already that experiential retail is table stakes.
Yeah.
It's what shoppers expect because we have everything at our fingertips. If we're going to come into a store, we want it to be worth our while.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how you're evolving your freestanding stores, but also your brand flagships?
With everything being available online now, it needs to be a very good reason for the consumer to come into store, and that's what they expect, that unexpected surprise and delight and the consumer experience. So we continue to upgrade our stores to provide that true experience for us. And I think also with AI, we are piloting at the moment, working through it with our travel retail formats, to leverage AI to do the store design and to help our store design talent to really understand you can feed the tool with the regulation, the dimension, processes that is required to speed that process up. Store design, for those of you who have been involved in this, is a very lengthy process and very detailed work required. And the AI pilots that we're doing now and hopefully roll out soon is going to help speed that process up. And that's going to translate into our flagships and all our points of distribution at some point to support the teams.
Sounds super exciting.
Yeah.
Pernilla, one final question for you. When it comes to AI, what are you most excited about for the future?
Well, it is exciting time, I have to say. For me, it's the agility and speed. I think the world is moving on so very quickly, but I think for us, utilizing these tools to help us keep up and preserving our creativity and innovation, but getting the tools to support us with that speed and agility is something that I truly welcome.
Thank you for listening to Retail Disrupted. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to support the podcast, please leave a rating or review or share it with others. It really makes a difference.